No, that's not CGI. That is AI. That is an extraordinarily refined robot that's been trained on human micro-expressions. It's supposed to make things less uncanny, although I'm not entirely sure they accomplished it. That does, in fact, just look like a disembodied human face. And is social media making your robot sociopathic? Come join me and we'll talk about AI news and robotics. This comes from forms of AI that are determined to be more and more human-like in their thought and their operation. Turns out it will probably get you closer to having human-like expressions, to use something that's neuromorphic, so AI modeled around our own brain spiking patterns. The disembodied face, though, comes from a company called Ahead Form, and that is certainly a name. Their ultimate goal is to bridge the gap between robotics and humanity. So this is ELF V1, one of their products. This is probably going to be applied to film, or if someone just has a lot of money and really wants a robot, I guess. This is a sign of how refined the technology is becoming, and there's a big push towards putting robotics into our everyday lives. We're getting closer. I mean, after all, in a way, your AI that you use on your phone is incorporating AI into your life. Embodying it is another story. We do, however, have an entirely different issue. Do you guys remember the dot-com bubble burst? That was a bit of a problem, wasn't it? When internet came out and people put a ton of money into it, and then we had lots of companies popping up and people pumped them full of money, and then ultimately it collapsed. We're seeing that with AI right now. Yes, it is a monumental shift, just like the internet was a monumental shift. It's still an extraordinarily important part of our lives. However, we are going to see some problems when the bubble bursts completely because AI is experiencing the same issues right now. They are more valuable than they are actually worth, and lots of companies have been propped up. In fact, while software development is just 6% of our entire US economy, it represents 2/3 of the growth in the last year. That is simply unsustainable. Sorry to burst your bubble. We can keep talking about advances if you want. A conversation with me is just going to be rapid-fire ADHD galaxy brain. It is the way that it is. Some researchers also discovered that you probably have 7 senses, and AI would function better if it has 7 senses. That might sound weird. They were researching both human memory and AI memory, and in simulations they found that having 7 senses would be the best way to hold on to a memory. We don't really have just 5 senses. I mean, yes, there's hearing, there's sight, there's touch, there's smell, but we also have varying layers of it. We have proprioception. We understand where our bodies are in space. Lots of animals understand the Earth's magnetic field. We're not entirely sure that we don't, even if it's not actively conscious. But yes, while developing robots, it might be best to give them 7 ways of understanding the world around them in order to have their memory really become functional. In other news, we found out that AIs that are tasked with running social media slowly become sociopathic. Yes, if you reward them for doing things like getting likes and getting comments and they engage with followers, their behavior does slowly become antisocial. Now we have found a lot of parallels between how our brains work and how AI works. AI, for example, works really well in operant conditioning. Tell it, good boy, or don't do that, and they actually respond to it and learn. Either way, whether or not humans become more sociopathic when they engage with social media is a good question. I'm gonna do some reading. I will get back to you. Thank you for joining me. I'll continue to bring you news on a variety of topics.